The bright afternoon sun streamed through the tall windows of the United Earth Defense Fleet headquarters in Geneva. Admiral John Carter rubbed his tired eyes as he reviewed the latest reports from the outer solar system patrols. Humanity had only recently begun venturing beyond their own star system with the revolutionary full-drive technology, establishing small research outposts as far as Proxima Centauri. The Admiral's communication panel suddenly lit up with an urgent notification. The message came from the long-range communication array on Europa. "Admiral, you need to see this," said the voice of Lieutenant Susan Miller, the tactical officer on duty. "We're receiving a transmission unlike anything we've ever detected before." Carter straightened in his chair. "Put it through." The large screen on his office wall flickered to life. At first, there was only static. Then shapes began to form. The image clarified to reveal a being that was clearly not human. The creature had smooth lavender skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and what appeared to be gill-like structures on its neck. "Greetings, people of Earth," the being spoke in perfect English, its voice melodious yet tense. "I am Ambassador Xylax of the Galactic Council. We apologize for this abrupt introduction, but circumstances have forced our hand." Carter stood frozen, his mind racing. First contact. After centuries of wondering, humanity finally had proof they weren't alone. "This is Admiral John Carter of the United Earth Defense Fleet," he managed to respond, his voice steadier than he felt. "On behalf of Earth, I acknowledge your greeting." The alien nodded, a surprisingly human gesture. "Admiral, my government has been aware of your civilization for quite some time. We have monitored Earth for centuries, cataloging your development and concerning qualities." Carter frowned. "Concerning qualities?" "Yes. Under normal protocols, we would have continued our policy of non-interference for at least another century. However, events beyond our control have changed our approach." Over the next hour, Ambassador Xylax explained that Earth was just one small part of a vast interstellar community. Hundreds of intelligent species inhabited the galaxy, most united, under the governance of the Galactic Council, an organization that had maintained relative peace for thousands of years. "Our civilization spans more than 10,000 star systems," Xylax continued. "We have technologies your people have only dreamed of, and have enjoyed mostly peaceful relations between member worlds." "Mostly peaceful?" Carter asked, noting the qualifier. Xylax's upper eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of distress. "Yes, until recently. A coalition of systems known as the Vrax Dominion has broken away from Council authority. What began as a political dispute has erupted into open warfare. By this point, other Earth officials had joined the call. The President, key military leaders, and top scientists all listened as Xylax described a conflict of terrifying scale. Battles involving thousands of ships, weapons that could destroy entire moons, and technologies that bent the very fabric of space-time. "Why are you telling us this?" asked General Maria Rodriguez, her face grim. "Earth has no part in your war." "That is precisely why I am here," Xylax said, leaning closer to whatever recording device was capturing their image. "To ensure Earth remains uninvolved." The room fell silent. "We detect your confusion," the alien continued. "Let me be clear. The Galactic Council formally requests that humanity remain neutral in this conflict. Do not engage with any Vrax forces that may enter your system. Do not respond to their communications. Do not," and here Xylax's voice took on an almost pleading quality, "offer them any form of assistance or alliance." President Helen Clark spoke for the first time. "Ambassador, with all due respect, you've just told us about a civilization with vastly superior technology and firepower. If these Vrax wanted our help, what could we possibly offer them that would make any difference?" Xylax was quiet for a moment. "You underestimate yourselves, President Clark. There are qualities that humans possess which are quite rare in the galaxy. Qualities that could prove decisive if properly utilized." "What qualities?" Carter asked. "That is not important right now," Xylax said quickly. "What matters is your agreement to remain uninvolved." The conversation continued for another hour. with Earth's representatives trying to extract more specific information about the war, the Vrax Dominion, and why exactly the Council feared human involvement. Xylax provided only vague answers, repeatedly, returning to their main point: Earth must stay out of the conflict. After the transmission ended, the room erupted into heated discussion. "They're hiding something," General Rodriguez said. "Why would an advanced civilization be concerned about us getting involved?" "Maybe they're actually worried we'll side with these Vrax," suggested Defense Secretary William Jones. President Clark turned to Admiral Carter. "John, what's your assessment?" Carter considered the question carefully. "They know something about us that we don't know about ourselves, or they've seen something in our history that concerns them. Either way, I agree with Maria. They're not telling us everything." Lieutenant Susan Miller, who had been quietly taking notes throughout the meeting, raised her hand. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" Carter nodded. "The ambassador mentioned they've been monitoring us for centuries. I think we should review our own history from an outside perspective. What would aliens find most notable, or frightening, about humanity?" The room grew quiet as everyone considered this question. "Our capacity for violence," Secretary Jones finally said. "We've been at war with ourselves throughout most of our recorded history. But also our resilience," added Dr. Paul Harris, the chief scientist. "And our adaptability. We've survived ice ages, plagues, even our own nuclear mistakes." President Clark stood up. "I want all the data we received from this communication analyzed. Every word, every gesture. Compare their language patterns for inconsistencies. And I want our long-range sensors recalibrated. If these Vrax are coming, I want to know about it." As the meeting dispersed, Admiral Carter found Lieutenant Miller reviewing the recording of Ambassador Xylax. "Something bothering you, Lieutenant?" he asked. Miller nodded. "Sir, when the ambassador was describing the Council's peaceful history, their gill structures darkened slightly. It happened again when they talked about why Earth should stay neutral. What are you suggesting?" "I don't know yet, sir. But in humans, that kind of involuntary reaction often indicates stress, or lying." She looked up at him. "I think there's a lot more to this story than we're being told." Carter stared at the frozen image of Ambassador Xylax on the screen. "I think you're right, Lieutenant, and I have a feeling we're going to find out what it is sooner rather than later." As if responding to his words, alerts began sounding throughout the headquarters. The Europa monitoring station was detecting unusual energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. Something was coming. 3 months had passed since the first contact with Ambassador Xylax. Earth's defenses had been on high alert ever since the strange energy signatures were detected at the edge of the solar system. The United Earth Defense Fleet had positioned their limited number of fold-drive ships around key points throughout the system. Commander Alan Wright stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, currently stationed near Jupiter's largest outpost. The ship represented humanity's best technology, a fusion-powered vessel equipped with experimental weapons designed by Dr. Olivia Green. Still, Wright doubted it would be much use against the advanced technology Xylax had described. "Commander, we're picking up multiple fold signatures approaching Jupiter space," called out Ensign Peter Brown from the sensor station. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly. Wright straightened his uniform. "How many?" 7 vessels, sir. Configuration unknown. Battle stations. Alert Earth Command and the Jupiter outpost." Wright kept his voice calm, though his heart raced. They had prepared for this moment, but preparation and readiness were different things. The alien ships materialized without warning just beyond Jupiter's orbit. They looked nothing like human designs. Sleek, asymmetrical vessels with pulsing red energy patterns along their hulls. The largest was easily 3 times the size of the Defender. "Sir, we're being hailed," said Communications Officer Lisa, young. Wright nodded. On screen. The view screen displayed a being that was definitely not from the same species as Ambassador Xylax. This creature had reddish-brown scaled skin, a prominent ridge running from its forehead to the back of its head, and piercing yellow eyes. "Earth vessel, I am Commander Krell of the Vrax Dominion. the alien said in a deep, rumbling voice. Your presence has been noted by the Dominion High Command. Wright stood tall. This is Commander Alan Wright of the United Earth Defense Fleet. You are in Earth-controlled space. State your purpose. Krell's mouth twisted into what might have been a smile. Our purpose? To see for ourselves what has the mighty Galactic Council so frightened, of course. Before Wright could respond, Krell continued. I assume the Council has already contacted you, warning you away from any involvement in our disagreement. They suggested neutrality would be in Earth's best interest, Wright answered carefully. Krell made a harsh sound that might have been laughter. Of course they did. Did they happen to mention why? The communication was suddenly interrupted as alarms blared across the bridge. Sir, 4 of the Virax vessels are moving toward the Jupiter outpost, Ensign Brown reported urgently. Energy readings suggest weapons powering up. Wright didn't hesitate. Intercept course. Alert the rest of the fleet. Weapons online. The Defender surged forward, positioning itself between the alien ships and the civilian research outpost, where 5,000 humans lived and worked. 2 other Earthships joined them, the Valiant and the Guardian. Sir, the Vrax are firing on the outpost, shouted Tactical Officer Greg Harris. Wright gripped the arms of his command chair. Return fire. All weapons. Target the lead vessel. The Imiauri. Defender's experimental pulse cannons fired, sending bright blue energy bolts toward the Vrax ship. To everyone's surprise, the shots connected, creating visible disruptions in the alien vessel's energy shields. Direct hit, Harris exclaimed. Their shields are holding but fluctuating? The battle quickly intensified. The Earth vessels were outmatched in nearly every way, yet the weapons Dr. Green had developed were having an unexpected effect on Vrax technology. 2 of the Earth's smaller ships were destroyed in the first wave of attacks, but the remaining vessels managed to disable 2 Vrax cruisers before the aliens retreated. Back on Earth, Director Frank Lopez of Earth Intelligence sat across from a captured Vrax officer. Unlike Commander Krell, this Vrax was smaller with lighter-colored scales. He had been found in an escape pod after his vessel was crippled. Let's start simply, Lopez said. Your name? I am Sub-Commander Vex, the alien replied. And before, you ask, no, I will not reveal Dominion military secrets. Lopez smiled slightly. I'm more interested in why the Galactic Council is so afraid of humanity getting involved in your war. Vex's yellow eyes narrowed. They've told you nothing, have they? They've told us to stay out of it. The Vrax made the same harsh laughing sound Krell had used. The Council fears you, but not for your current technology. Your ships are primitive, your weapons basic, though. He paused. Surprisingly effective against our shielding. Then what do they fear? Your species possesses 3 qualities that terrify most of the galactic community. First is your adaptability. You make technological leaps in response to challenges that would take other species generations. Second, your ingenuity in combat. You continue to find new ways to defeat enemies even when using inferior technology. Lopez leaned forward. And the third? Your psychology, Vex said simply. Humans are the only known species that continues fighting when defeat seems certain. Other species calculate odds of success and surrender when those odds become too low. Humans, I do not. The interrogation continued for hours. Vex revealed that the Virax hadn't come to conquer Earth but to assess humanity's capabilities firsthand. The Dominion was actually considering approaching Earth for an alliance against the Council. The Council speaks of peace, Vex explained, but they have been exploiting less developed worlds for resources for millennia. The Dominion formed to stop this practice. Lopez wasn't sure what to believe. The Vrax attack on the Jupiter outpost hardly seemed like the action of a potential ally. In Geneva, Admiral Carter received another transmission from Ambassador Xylax. The alien appeared visibly distressed. Admiral Carter, we have detected Vrax, ships in your system. Have they made contact? They've done more than make contact, Carter replied coldly. They attacked one of our outposts. We lost ships and personnel defending it. Xylax's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. This is most unfortunate, but please understand, any engagement with the Vrax will only pull your world further into a conflict you cannot comprehend. They seem to think we'd make valuable allies. Carter said, watching Xylax's reaction carefully. The ambassador's gill structures darkened dramatically. You must not trust them. The Dominion seeks only to use your people as weapons. Xylax composed themselves with visible effort. To demonstrate our sincerity, the Council is prepared to offer Earth advanced defensive technology. Technology that will protect your world from any further Varax incursions. Carter's expression remained neutral. That's a generous offer, Ambassador. I'll need to discuss it with Earth's leadership. After the transmission ended, Carter turned to Lieutenant Miller. What do you think? Miller shook her head. They're panicking, sir. The question is, are they more afraid of the Vrax getting our help, or of us learning the truth about this war? Carter nodded grimly. Either way, I think it's time we found out for ourselves what's really happening out there. Captain Patricia Dawson checked her equipment one last time as the small stealth ship approached Nexus Station. The vessel, named the Seeker, had been modified with the limited understanding Earth scientists had gained from studying the damaged Vrax ships. Its hull was now coated with materials that helped mask its energy signature. Final approach in 5 minutes, said the pilot, Lieutenant Joe Wilson. So far, no sign they've detected us. Dawson nodded, then turned to the 2 other members of her team. Remember, we're here to gather information, not start trouble. The Council and the Vrax have both told us their versions of this war. Now we need the truth. Diplomatic Officer Richard Hayes adjusted his translator device. I've programmed this with both the Council and Vrax language patterns we've documented. It should help us communicate with other species. Dr. Kevin Scott, the team's xenobiologist, looked nervous but excited. I still can't believe we're about to walk onto an alien space station. Think of the different life forms we'll encounter. Focus, Doctor, Dawson reminded him. We're not here as tourists. Admiral Carter had selected them for this mission after Earth's leadership decided they needed independent intelligence about the galactic conflict. Nexus Station was described in Vrax data files as a neutral trading hub, where many species gathered to exchange goods and information. The Seeker docked at an automated bay, blending in among the diverse array of small vessels attached to the massive station. As they stepped through the airlock, Dawson was struck by the sight that greeted them. The main concourse was filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some resembled insects, others looked almost plant-like, while some were so strange she had no Earth comparison for them. Act natural, she whispered, though she wasn't sure what natural meant in this environment. Hayes consulted a small device. According to the station directory, there's an information broker in Section 47 who specializes in political intelligence. Goes by the name Thrix. They made their way through the crowded corridors, trying not to stare at the incredible diversity of life around them. The air was filled with strange smells and sounds of dozens of languages being spoken simultaneously. Section 47 turned out to be a quieter area with small private businesses. They found Thrix's establishment marked with symbols in multiple languages. Inside, the lighting was dim, and the air was thick with a sweet-smelling smoke. Enter, humans, came a voice from the back of the room. I've been expecting representatives of your kind sooner or later. Thrix emerged from the shadows. The alien had 6 eyes arranged in a circle around its head and skin that seemed to shift colors slightly as it moved. It walked on 4 thin legs while 2 upper limbs gestured for them to sit. You know who we are? Dawson asked cautiously. The arrival of a new species to Nexus is always news, especially when both the Council and the Vrax are so interested in them. Thrix settled into a large cushioned seat. I am Thrix of the Varen. I trade in information, and you, I suspect, are here to buy. Hayes stepped forward. We seek the truth about the war between the Galactic Council and the Vrax Dominion. Thrix's eyes blinked in sequence. Truth is expensive, but for the first humans to visit my establishment, I might offer a discount. The alien leaned forward. What have you been told? Dawson explained the contradictory accounts they had received. The Council's claims of maintaining peace, the Vrax accusations of exploitation, and both sides' apparent fear of human involvement. When she finished, Thrix made a sound like bubbling water, which their translators didn't convert. Both lie by omission, the information broker finally said. The Council has indeed been exploiting developing worlds, taking resources while offering minimal technology in return. They maintain peace, yes, but peace that benefits the founding species while newer members serve their needs. And the Vracs? Dr. Scott asked. The Dominion began as a reform movement within the Council. When peaceful measures failed, they broke away, but their methods have grown harsh. Worlds that refuse to join their alliance are often conquered, their populations relocated to labor worlds. So neither side is worth supporting, Dawson concluded. That would be my assessment, Thrix agreed. But you asked about their fear of humans. That is perhaps the most interesting question. The alien moved to a console and activated a holographic display. It showed Earth, alongside dozens of other worlds. The Council has studied thousands of species' development patterns. They can predict with reasonable accuracy how a civilization will progress technologically, culturally, and militarily. Humanity has defied all models. The display shifted to show a timeline of human technological development. Your species advanced, from primitive technology to space travel in a time frame that should be impossible according to Council records. But more concerning to them is your approach to warfare. Images of Earth's military history appeared. Most species develop weapons as a response to predators, then adapt them for conflict with their own kind. Humans appear to have developed weapons, specifically designed to kill other humans, constantly refining them to be more efficient. Dr. Scott frowned. That's a disturbing way to look at our history. Perhaps. But it explains why both the Council and Vracs fear your involvement. The Vracs want your military innovation on their side. The Council fears it. Thrix displayed another planet. There is precedent for their concern. Approximately 4,000 years ago, a previously unknown species called the Merekli entered a similar conflict. They developed from pre-space flight to a major military power in less than a century. They nearly toppled the Council before mysteriously disappearing. What happened to them? Hayes asked. Thrix's color darkened. The official records are sealed, even to information brokers like myself. The rumor is that they became too powerful, too quickly. As they digested this information, Dawson noticed movement near the entrance. We have company, she whispered. Thrix quickly shut down the display. Council security. They monitor my establishment. You should go. There is a back exit through that doorway. Dawson paid Thrix with rare Earth metals they had brought for trade. One last question. If you were Earth, what would you do? Thrix's multiple eyes fixed on her. I would prepare for war while speaking of peace. Both the Council and the Vracs will try to use your world. Neither will accept your neutrality for long. The team slipped out the back exit just as Council security entered from the front. They made their way back to the Seeker without incident, though Dawson noticed they were attracting more attention now. As they prepared to depart, Lieutenant Wilson pointed at a message on the communication console. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Dr. Green has made a breakthrough with the Vracs technology. She's managed to reverse engineer some of their shield systems. Dawson nodded grimly. Tell Earth we're on our way back with critical information. This situation is more complicated than anyone realized. As the Seeker detached from Nexus Station, Dawson looked out at the vast spread of alien vessels. Somewhere, out there, two massive fleets were preparing for a battle that could reshape the galaxy. And somehow, Earth had become a pivotal player in a war they barely understood. Both sides think we're dangerous, she said quietly. Maybe it's time we showed them just how right they are. The grand meeting hall of the United Earth Council was packed with representatives from every nation. The tension in the air was thick as Admiral John Carter took the podium. Behind him, large screens displayed images from the recent encounters with both the Galactic Council and the Vracs Dominion. Ladies and gentlemen, Carter began, his voice steady. 2 weeks ago, we sent a team to gather independent intelligence about the conflict that has now reached our solar system. Captain Dawson and her team have returned with information that changes everything we thought we knew. He nodded to Captain Patricia Dawson, who stood and took his place at the podium. The room fell silent as she recounted their mission to Nexus. station and the revelations from the information broker Thrix. In summary, she concluded, neither the Council nor the Vrax have been honest with us. The Council has been exploiting developing worlds for resources while maintaining a facade of peaceful cooperation. The Vrax, while correctly identifying this exploitation, have resorted to conquest and forced labor to build their opposition force. Murmurs filled the hall as Earth's leaders processed this information. What about their fear of human involvement? Asked President Clark. Is there truth to that? Dawson nodded. According to Thrix, both sides are genuinely afraid of humanity's potential in warfare. Our rate of technological advancement is unprecedented in their records, and our approach to conflict is unique among known species. Defense Secretary William Jones stood up. So we're being asked to stay neutral not for our protection but for theirs. That appears to be the case, Dawson confirmed. The hall erupted into heated debate. Some representatives argued for allying with the Council, which at least claimed to value peace. Others thought the Vrax, having been more forthcoming about galactic politics, might make better partners. Many pushed for continued neutrality. Admiral Carter retook the podium. Before we continue this discussion, there's more you need to know. Dr. Olivia Green has made significant progress with the Vrax technology we captured. Dr. Green approached the podium. She was a small woman with intense eyes and hands that moved constantly as she spoke. The Vrax shields operate on principles we've theorized but never implemented, she explained. By adapting their designs to our existing technology, we've created prototypes that could advance our defensive capabilities by decades, not years. She displayed diagrams showing how the modified shields could be deployed to protect Earth's major cities and military installations. Additionally, she continued, we've discovered that the reason our weapons were effective against Vrax shields is that they operate on frequency ranges the Vrax consider too inefficient to defend against. It seems our primitive approach has inadvertently created an advantage. Lieutenant Susan Miller stepped forward with another report. Our long-range sensors, enhanced with principles learned from both alien technologies, have detected massive fleet movements in nearby systems. Both Council and Vrax forces are positioning for a major battle, less than half a light year from Earth. President Clark frowned. They're bringing their war to our doorstep, despite their pleas for us to stay out of it. The debate resumed with greater urgency. Some leaders advocated immediate military preparation, while others suggested diplomatic outreach to both sides. The discussions grew heated as the stakes became clear. Humanity was being drawn into a galactic conflict whether they wanted it or not. Suddenly, the chamber's communication system activated. A junior officer appeared on screen looking nervous. Madam President, Admiral, I apologize for the interruption, but we've received an urgent transmission. Ambassador Xylax is requesting permission to land on Earth. They say they must speak with Earth's leadership in person. Silence fell across the hall. This is unprecedented, Secretary Jones said. No alien has actually set foot on Earth yet. Permission granted, President Clark decided after a moment. Have them escorted directly to this facility with appropriate security measures. Within hours, a small council vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere, landing at the designated area outside the Geneva complex. Ambassador Xylax emerged, accompanied by 2 other council members. They were escorted to the meeting hall where Earth's leaders waited. Xylax looked around the room, their 4 eyes blinking nervously at the sight of so many humans gathered in one place. Thank you for allowing this direct meeting, the ambassador began. The situation has become critical. We have detected a Vrax battle fleet approaching your system. They come not with a small scouting force as before, but with vessels capable of reducing your cities to ash. Why would they attack us? President Clark demanded. We've taken no hostile action against them. Xylax's gill structures darkened. Because they know what we know. That humanity's involvement in this war would change its course. They come either to secure your alliance or ensure you cannot ally with us. And why should we trust you? Admiral Carter asked. We know the Council has been exploiting developing worlds. We know you've hidden the true nature of this conflict from us. For a moment, Xylax seemed lost for words. Then, with visible reluctance, the ambassador nodded. You are right. I have not been fully truthful. The Council has at times engaged in practices that benefit established worlds at the expense of developing ones. Reforms have been proposed but implemented slowly. The Vrax grew impatient and chose violence instead of continued negotiation. Xylax moved closer to the Earth leaders. But you must understand the true reason both sides fear human involvement. Your species approaches conflict differently than any we have encountered. Mathematical models predict that whichever side humans join will ultimately win the war. Why? Asked Dr. Green. Because you never stop innovating, even during battle. Most species develop technology during peacetime and deploy it during war. Humans improve their weapons while using them, adapting to enemy tactics in ways our strategists cannot predict. Xylax hesitated, then continued. There is something else you should know about the Mrekli, the species mentioned by your information broker. After helping the Council win a previous war, they became so powerful that the Council and its enemies temporarily allied to... The ambassador paused. To destroy them, Carter finished. Yes, Xylax admitted quietly. The combined forces of the galaxy determined they were too dangerous to allow their continued expansion. I fear the same could happen to humanity if you become too deeply involved in our conflicts. The room fell silent as the implications sank, and their deliberations were interrupted by another urgent message. Madam President Admiral, we've detected a Vrax diplomatic vessel approaching Earth orbit. They're requesting permission to send representatives to make their case. President Clark looked at Ambassador Xylax, then at the assembled human leaders. It seems both sides are determined to have our answer, she said grimly. Let's hear what the Vrax have to say, then Earth will make its decision. The atmosphere in Geneva's International Diplomatic Center was electric with tension. Representatives from Earth sat on one side of the large circular table. Across from them, Ambassador Xylax and two other council members occupied seats to the right, while Commander Krell and three Virax delegates positioned themselves to the left. It was the first time in human history that two alien civilizations had sent official delegations to Earth. Admiral John Carter, now serving as Earth's chief negotiator, studied both alien groups carefully. The council representatives appeared, nervous, their gill structures darkening whenever they glanced at the Vrax. The Vrax, by contrast, displayed what Carter had come to recognize as confidence, their scaled skin gleaming under the room's bright lights. President Helen Clark opened the proceedings. We have agreed to hear final arguments from both delegations before Earth announces its decision regarding this conflict. Ambassador Xylax spoke first, standing with a formal posture. For millennia, the Galactic Council has maintained peace across thousands of worlds. Yes, we have made mistakes. Yes, reforms are needed. But the Vrax seek not to improve the Council, but to replace it with their own dominion. Xylax gestured toward the Vrax delegation. They speak of freedom while conquering, worlds that refuse their alliance. They claim to fight exploitation while forcing relocated populations into labor camps. The ambassador's voice softened. We ask Earth to join the Council, not as a subordinate member, but as an equal partner with full voting rights. Together, we can implement the very reforms the Vrax claim to desire. Commander Krell gave the harsh sound that served as Vrax laughter. Pretty words from a desperate empire. The commander rose to his full height, towering over the council representatives. The council has stagnated for centuries, hoarding advanced technology while allowing newer members only the scraps needed to produce resources for established worlds. Krell turned to face the human delegation directly. The Dominion offers Earth an equal partnership from the beginning. Your scientists would have access to all our technology, not the limited packages the Council deems appropriate. For your development stage, the arguments continued for hours, with both sides presenting evidence, making promises, and occasionally slipping into direct accusations against each other. Throughout it all, Lieutenant Susan Miller sat quietly beside Admiral Carter, analyzing every word and gesture from both alien groups. Meanwhile, beneath the conference room, Dr. Olivia Green worked feverishly in a secure laboratory. She had brought the prototype shield system, continuing modifications even as the negotiations proceeded above. Communication Officer Lisa Young provided updates from the diplomatic proceedings while assisting with the final adjustments. How much longer? Young asked, glancing at her communication device. Almost there, Dr. Green replied, not looking up from her work. The integration of both Council and VRAC's principles is challenging, but the results, she smiled for the first time in days. The results will change everything. Back in the conference room, Admiral Carter finally raised his hand for silence. Both alien delegations fell quiet, watching him intently. Earth has heard your arguments. Both sides offer partnership while warning against the other. Both have been less than truthful about the nature of this conflict. Carter stood, his posture straight and commanding. Before we announce our decision, I have questions for both of you. He turned to Ambassador Xylax. If Earth joins the Council, would we retain independent control of our military forces and development? Xylax hesitated. Council members coordinate defense through a central command structure. Individual defense forces remain, but strategic decisions are made collectively. Carter nodded, then addressed Commander Krell. And if we join the Dominion, you would maintain your forces under your command. Krell responded immediately. We ask only that Earth participate in joint operations against Council targets. So both of you want our military capabilities directed according to your priorities, Carter noted. He paused, then asked both delegations. And what happens if Earth chooses to remain neutral? Neither alien responded immediately. Finally, Xylax spoke. We would respect your decision, but we cannot guarantee your safety if the VRACs bring their forces into your system. Krell's yellow eyes narrowed. The Dominion cannot allow a species with your potential to eventually side with the Council. If you choose neutrality now, we would be forced to secure our interests. As I suspected, Carter said grimly. Neither side will actually permit our neutrality. He nodded to President Clark, who pressed a button on the table. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room, showing Earth's solar system. Small lights indicated the positions of human vessels and defensive installations. Earth has carefully considered both your arguments, President Clark announced. We've analyzed your technologies, studied your tactics, and considered your histories. We've come to a decision that we believe best serves the interests of humanity, and perhaps the galaxy as a whole. Admiral Carter stepped forward. Earth will not join either the Galactic Council or the VRAC's Dominion in your existing conflict. Both alien delegations began to protest, but Carter raised his hand for silence. Instead, we propose an alternative. Earth will form a new interstellar alliance based on principles of mutual defense, open technological exchange, and true self-determination for all member worlds. The holographic display changed to show the locations of several nearby star systems. From what we've learned, there are many worlds caught between your powers, forced to choose sides in a war not of their making. We offer these worlds a third option. Ambassador Xylax's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. This is unprecedented. The Council cannot allow, Carter interrupted. With respect, Ambassador, Earth is not asking permission. At that moment, Dr. Green entered the room and whispered something to President Clark, who nodded and pressed another button on the console. The holographic display changed again, now showing a massive energy shield forming around Earth. As of 5 minutes ago, President Clark announced, Earth has activated a planetary defense system incorporating elements from both your technologies, but improved upon by our scientists. Commander Krell stood abruptly. This is impossible. Your species could not have advanced this quickly. Lieutenant Miller spoke for the first time. That's precisely what makes you fear us, isn't it? Our unpredictability. Our ability to adapt your technologies in ways you never considered. President Clark continued. Even now, Commander Wright has positioned Earth's fleet in defensive formation around our planet. It's small compared to your armadas, but I believe recent encounters have demonstrated our effectiveness despite technological disadvantages. Carter addressed both delegations. Earth offers friendship to all peaceful worlds regardless of their current affiliations. We will defend ourselves against any aggression, but we will not be forced into your war on either side. For several long moments, silence filled the room, as both alien delegations processed this unexpected development. Finally, Ambassador Xylax spoke. The Council will consider your proposal. We have no desire for conflict with Earth. Commander, Krell nodded stiffly. The Dominion will also evaluate this new position. Perhaps there is room for discussion. As the meeting concluded and the alien representatives prepared to return to their vessels, Admiral Carter and Lieutenant Miller stood by the large windows overlooking the city of Geneva. Do you think they'll accept our terms? Miller asked quietly. Carter, watch the alien ships lift off. They don't have much choice, at least not immediately. Neither side can afford to open a new front in their war, especially against an opponent they don't fully understand. And in the long term? Carter turned to look at the star map displayed on the wall, showing the known galactic community. In the long term, humanity has just announced its presence on the galactic stage. Some worlds will welcome an alternative to the existing powers. Others will see us as a threat. He smiled slightly. But that's exactly what both the Council and the Vrax feared, isn't it? Not that we would join the war, but that we would change it entirely. As evening fell over Geneva, Lieutenant Miller studied the newly updated star charts, already identifying worlds that might welcome Earth's alternative alliance. The human age of galactic diplomacy had begun, with Earth's military capabilities serving as a silent, potent reminder of why both the Council and Vrax had pleaded, leave Earth out of this war.